Hey, you're not the one who ordered the appraisal of my family home, are you? I asked fearfully. My husband, puzzled, replied, Yes, I did. Why? Why? Why would you try to sell my family home without my permission? Because we're a couple, right? Your family home is also my family home, isn't it? He calmly uttered these incomprehensible words, not only refusing to listen to reason, but acting as if I were the one in the wrong. In the end, he said, If you don't like it, you can leave. So, I decided to divorce him and left the house. My name is Alyssa Hudson, and I am 29 years old. After graduating from college, I worked as a pharmacist at a local pharmacy. A few years ago, I met George, who is 3 years older than me and who I eventually married. He was not only kind and funny, but he also had a wonderful quality of being considerate towards me and those important to me. However, getting to this point was a rough journey. George had a gambling habit which led to several fights. He poured most of his paycheck into horse racing and slot machines, and when he ran out of money, he borrowed more. It was bearable when he was winning, but when he was losing, he was irritable all the time. I loved him, but I couldn't marry a gambling addict. As I hesitated to marry him, he looked at me with sincere eyes and promised, I will quit gambling. I will repay all my debts. So please marry me. True to his word, he quit gambling completely and cleared his debts. I decided to marry him, but with one condition. If you gamble again, we will divorce. He agreed to this, and after 3 years of dating, we finally tied the knot. But George had a sad past. He lost his parents in an accident when he was young and was raised in an orphanage. As a result, he had very few memories of his parents. Our house is a distance that can be covered by a plane ride from my family home. After our marriage, we frequently visited my parents, and George cherished them as if they were his own. Dear in-laws, thank you for always being kind to me. I'm glad that you treat me like your own son. It feels like I finally have parents of my own, George would say with a smile in front of my parents. Seeing his happiness warmed my heart. Several years after our marriage, one day... What? Dad? You must be kidding! The sudden call from my mom was to inform me of my father's death. He collapsed suddenly this morning and he's unconscious. It's too late. No! Worried about my crying mother over the phone, George and I immediately headed for my family home. When I arrived, I saw my father lying there, his face pale, sleeping forever. Darling, why? Please wake up. My mother desperately shaking my father's shoulder, calling out to him. Seeing her like that left me at a loss for words. After the funeral, I suggested to my mother that she should live with us, but she didn't agree. This is the house where I made memories with him, so I'll continue living here. Your sister is also here. Since my older sister had recently divorced and decided to return to the family home with her daughter, we left the care of our mother to her. A few months later, we received news from my sister that our mother had passed away. According to my sister, ever since our father passed away, our mother seemed to wither away at an alarming rate. She could barely eat and would lock herself up in her room. Even when we tried to convince her to visit the hospital, she wouldn't listen. By the time she collapsed at home, it was too late. Not only did we lose our father, but our mother too. If only we could have helped her sooner. When I think about it, I can't stop feeling regretful. Why didn't I call more often or visit more? I can't help but wonder if I was merely thinking, my sister is there so it'll be fine. But Mom wasn't fine at all. I'm not the only one mourning the loss of our parents. When my husband, George, learned of my mother's death, he broke down in tears right before my eyes. The same man who consoled me when my father died was now crying like a child. Seeing this, I realized how much he truly cared for my parents. After the funeral was over, things seemed to calm down, but my sister and I were left with various procedures to handle. The main issue was our family home. It was unthinkable to let go of the house our parents had cherished so much. After discussing it, we decided that my sister would live there with her daughter. 2 months later, I received an unexpected call from my sister. Hello, sis? Oh, Alyssa, I'm sorry, it was sudden. She asked, her voice noticeably different, dark, and unlike her usual self. What's up? It's rare for you to call, I replied. Actually, a real estate agent just came to my place. A realtor? I was puzzled. I don't really understand it either. Did you do something, Alyssa? Me? No, I didn't do anything, I assured her. I see. While humming, my sister muttered, strange. My sister seemed to have thought that I was the one who called the realtor to our family home. So, why did the realtor visit? I asked, throwing the most pressing question at my sister. They came to appraise the house, she explained. An appraisal? Isn't that to price the house? But my sister had no intention of selling our family home, so why? From her story, a realtor had suddenly come to our family home, claiming, I came to appraise the house upon request. My sister didn't remember requesting such a thing and wondered if I had done it instead, which was why she contacted me. Hold on, that's strange. There's no way we'd sell the precious family home left by our parents, I exclaimed. That's what I thought too. We agreed to keep the family home. She agreed. So what happened then? I asked. I told them we didn't request an appraisal. Oh, I did ask for their contact info though. Can you give me the realtor's contact info? I asked my sister, got it, and immediately called them. I gave them our family home address and asked to speak to the person who did the appraisal. When I asked, they confirmed that they had indeed visited our family home that day. Well, neither my sister nor I requested an appraisal of our family home, I told them. Well, we have received such a request, they defended. Can you tell me the name of the requester? I inquired. It's Mr. George Hudson, they revealed. Excuse me? George, this has got to be a joke. Could it be that my husband is trying to sell our family home without my permission? I couldn't believe what I was hearing, so I asked the representative again. You're joking, right? No, we really did receive a request from him. But how could that? We were told that there's a house that will be put up for sale soon, so we'd like an appraisal to know its value. In the face of this unexpected situation, I somehow managed to refuse the appraisal request. I immediately headed to my husband's location. Hey, can I talk to you for a second? Huh? What's up? My husband responded, casually playing with his smartphone. Hey, you didn't request an appraisal for my family home, did you? I nervously asked, to which my husband responded with a puzzled look. Yeah, I did. So? So? What were you thinking? Making an appraisal request without consulting me first? Even my sister was shocked. Why are you so angry? An appraisal isn't a big deal, right? That's not the point. Why did you do this on your own? My sister lives in our family home, and we have no intention of selling it. My voice was getting louder. My husband sighed in annoyance. I don't know why you're so angry, but don't make a fuss over just an appraisal. We haven't sold anything yet. That's not the issue. Why? Why would you try to sell our family home on your own? Well, we're married, right? I'm your husband, and your family home is also my family home, isn't it? What? I understand that we're married, but that doesn't mean he can just decide to sell our family home. Fighting back my anger, I continued to question him. Stop it! We may be married, but it's absolutely crazy to think about selling the precious home my parents left us without even discussing it. In response to my statement, George responded with but you know, that large house is a waste for just your sister and her 2 children to live in, don't you think? What? What are you talking about? She's a single mom, so wouldn't it be better for her to live in an apartment or something? Besides, if we sell that house and get the money, it would secure our lifestyle, right? His words left me at a loss, standing in stunned silence. Seeing my reaction, George blurted out, Anyway, your parents aren't here anymore, Alyssa. All you have to do is listen to me, your husband. I could no longer see the kind man I married. It seems like all he cared about was himself, his ideas, and his beliefs. But I can't possibly accept such outrageous claims. Don't mess around! It's despicable to try and sell what my parents treasured so much. I shouted at George, to which he retorted,
Alyssa, do you value your family home more than me?
What?
If you value your family home so much, you don't belong here anymore. If you don't like it, you can leave this house.
With loud footsteps, he returned to his own room. At that moment, an indescribable rage welled up within me. I can't believe it. I never thought he would tell me to leave. At the same time, a thought came to my mind. It was the reason why George suddenly wanted to sell our family home. Why all of a sudden? We're not in financial difficulty. But I don't need to think about it. Knowing his past, I can easily imagine. Gambling. He must need money for gambling. That's the only reason George would suddenly want to sell our family home and get a fortune. He kept saying over and over, "I'll quit." But he was gambling again, secretly, and selling our beloved family home to fund it. This time, I reached my limit. If he's going to do that, I'm going to do what I want. At the beginning of our marriage, I told him, if you gamble again, we will divorce. I packed my bags while my husband was sleeping, left the divorce papers on the table, and headed for the family home where my sister and her children live. The next day, when I woke up, I had a lot of missed calls and messages from my husband. He must have seen the divorce papers. I reluctantly answered his call again. Hello? As soon as he heard my voice, he fired off a rapid succession of questions.
Hey, why aren't you home? Why are there divorce papers left here? Where are you right now?
You're the one who said, if you don't like it, leave.
Well, that might be true, but...
George, you said, right? Alyssa should just do as I say. So I did as you said and left, right? At my remark, my husband responded in shock.
I may have said to leave, but I didn't say anything about divorce. Let's talk it out first.
Talk it out? Then let me hear it. Why did you think of selling our family home?
That...
Answer me properly. After persistently questioning him, my suspicion turned out to be correct. Without telling me, my husband had started gambling again. And not just casino and horse racing as before. He seemed to have started investing in stocks and foreign exchange as well, borrowing money every time he made a loss and covering living expenses so I wouldn't find out. As a result, it turned out that he was nearly $100,000 in debt. What? $100,000? You're kidding, right?
I'm sorry. Once I started borrowing money, I couldn't stop, and I couldn't tell you because I didn't want you to find out.
But that doesn't mean you can just sell someone's family home. You're finished as a human being.
No, Alyssa, that's not it. I didn't mean any harm.
My husband, who had always proudly told me that he was saving for the future. I thought he had completely given up gambling and was working hard. But he was giving me borrowed money, pretending it was his salary. Of course I, who hadn't noticed until now, am also an irremediable fool. But because I loved my husband, I believed his words and had lived my married life up until now.
Alyssa, please, come back.
I poured out my feelings to my begging husband. I've always believed in your words, I'll quit gambling, but nothing's changed since before we got married. I can't. I've reached my limit. I don't see you as a family member anymore. Get a divorce and never show up in front of me again. Swallowing my feelings of frustration, I let out all I wanted to say and slammed the phone down. Even after, he called back several times, but I never answered. Subsequently, I contacted a lawyer and, by my strong will, the divorce was finalized. It was accepted smoothly due to the complete fault on George's side, and I was even able to claim alimony. Of course, it was impossible for him to sell my family's house. All George was left with was a debt of $100,000 from gambling. Even after the divorce was finalized, he used every possible means to ask me to get back together, like a stalker.
I was the one at fault. I won't do anything selfish anymore. I'll quit gambling for real this time. I mean it. Please forgive me. Without you, Alyssa, I'll really end up all alone.
It's too late for such words. My heart does not waver. Rather, it makes me feel sick to my stomach. After that, I changed my phone number and email address and blocked George's contact. I also consulted with the police and managed to get a restraining order. That ended any remaining connection with George. As of now, George is still struggling with his debt. His income alone can't keep up with the repayments, and he's caught in a negative cycle of repaying debt with more debt. If things continue like this, full repayment is completely impossible. He might end up filing for bankruptcy. It's difficult to cure a gambling addict from the root. Now I think that divorcing was the right choice. On the other hand, I've been able to live peaceful days with my sister and niece in the beloved family home my parents left behind. My marriage to George might have been a mistake, but in the end, I was able to protect this house that my father and mother left me. And I was able to regain these peaceful days with my sister and lovely niece. For the sake of my parents who raised me with such care, I won't look back at the past. I'll only look forward and live on.